been, for me, just an incredible month, a growing month, a learning month, an educational month. And I'll say unashamedly that no one has helped me more in terms of adjusting, growing theologically than Dr. Stacey Floyd-Thomas, especially when it comes to womanism. And she, as far as I'm concerned, is the princess of womanism. She's the mentee of Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon. And so, again, that for me makes her the princess, and she is upholding the legacy brilliantly. She not only is doing it, but then you have her phenomenal husband, Dr. Juan Floyd-Thomas. Dr. Juan Floyd-Thomas is a historian, for me, a liberation theologian. And just, again, you talk about genius in one household. And of course, he got a budding genius in Lillian, who is on the rise, on the come up. This week, to show you how blessed I was in Nashville, Tennessee. They're both on staff, teaching, I should say, professors at Vanderbilt. And I got to ride with them. And Dr. Session, every time I'm in the car with them, I'm in class. And they were just dropping all kind of wisdom, knowledge, truth nuggets that I'm going to be preaching about for quite some time. So get ready for that. But I want you all to receive Dr. Stacey and Juan Floyd-Thomas. I'm going to interview them, and we're going to just glean their genius and their brilliance. They are such wonderful gifts. So thank you very much. Thank you. So what I want to do is just begin, kind of like last service, because I'm still working through, and you helped me out brilliantly, what we have witnessed in real time this past week, on video, the assault on black women, black female bodies. And so, and the metaphor just messes me up. In Deep Ellum, here in Dallas, black woman gets treated like a punching bag by someone, and we're still trying to figure this out and get word about this, whose hands are registered weapons, because he was throwing on her like he's a professional fighter. And so we saw that, Wednesday, Thursday? And then yesterday, on social media, an elderly black woman. So you had a young black woman, I think she's 24, here in Deep Ellum. Then you had a senior black woman on the subway getting kicked by a brother. So an elderly woman gets kicked by a brother, beaten by a brother, as people just either videotape it or just watch. And there's you get 5 minutes in hell for that. And then you have a younger sister here in Dallas gets beat down by a white man. So I'm just messed up. I text Dr. Stacey Floyd-Thomas, Dr. Juan Floyd-Thomas, and Dr. Stacey Floyd-Thomas just messes me up with her raw, honest response and says, well, now the rest of the nation gets to see what we've been dealing with all the time. Doc, help me with that. How do black women keep bouncing back? And what does womanism have to say to this nation in a day where, in Women's History Month, black women are still getting beat down?
Zora Neale Hurston, who in many ways is a muse to Alice Walker, who is the muse to the womanist movement, she said in her book, Their Eyes Are Watching God, that black women are the mules of the world as far as the eye can see. Black women are the mules of the world as far as I can see. And the same way we know that black people are racially profiled, they're subject to state-sanctioned violence, and people are acting like it's brand new just because people are taping it on their iPhones, right?
Yeah.
This is constant. We know that this morning, black women had to go through hell just to come to church. And they're going to catch hell when they go back. Maybe because this very question was asked. right? Because when you name the pain, many times you are getting inflicted even more so because of it. Mm-hmm. So, but to be a black woman is to negotiate what Patricia Bell Scott says, living in the world where all the women are white and all the blacks are men. Mm. Okay. What it means to be black and female in America is to live in the world where what it means to be a woman is to be white. And what it means to be black is to be male. And she says, but for some of us, that leaves us with the only option to be brave. Mm-hmm. And that's where womanism comes in. Womanism is not about dumbing down and numbing up. Right. Two brilliant scholars that you have in your midst, former students of mine, Reverend Kristen Kelly, Reverend Dr. Irie Session. They are at this church because they know, not just because they are sitting, to quote Dr. Pookrum, in the mind of a genius, but this genius can't be here without the womb of this woman who has nurtured this whole community into living long. So womanism is about calling things out, speaking truth to power, naming the devil and calling him out for who he is, so we might not save souls and lose minds and lives in the process, but so that we might take hold of our own lives and therefore be liberated.
Yeah. Doc? Yeah, give it up. That's...
All I want to add is also, in addition to everything my wife just said, is the fact that personally what offends and outrages me are the folks who stand silent and, they've got their smartphones and, they're clocking all these videos or whatever, posting it up on Facebook and the gram, but not one person saying stop it. Not one person saying, go get help or call the police or standing in the way of any of those fists or in the case of the woman on the subway, the man actually roundhouse kicks her. I mean,
in the face, your grandmama.
Right.
Being kicked with a boot in her face while people are just standing around.
Right.
And it shouldn't take you having been somebody's son, husband, sister, brother, whatever, just another human being getting stomped on or whatever should be enough to motivate you to do something. And I know that in this Trump era, we're getting worn down by all the bad news and bad, attitudes that we're seeing and feeling and hearing. But that shouldn't steal our humanity. And part of that humanity is taking care of each other.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. So in light of that, let's kind of talk about relationships. You gave me my series for this month, What Mannish Men Can Learn from Womanish Women. And Brittany Cooper says relationships are hard. Black relationships are harder. This is not because black people are more broken or pathological than any other group. We are not, but we grow up in a world that says we are. So my question, Dr. Stacey, is how does a womanish woman in this day love a mannish man?
Well, I think first of all, just to be frank and clear, you are marked by who you love and how you love. You are marked by who you love and how you love. So a mannish man, a real mannish man, can only be loved by a womanish woman. So your manhood is marked by the woman who loves you. You need weak love, you're a weak man.
Boom! Sorry.
Right. So water seeks its own level in a very real sense. The same way that, Mary is told by an angel, blessed are you among women, And she's like, okay, true that. I'm 14. I got knocked up by the Holy Ghost. And, I'm going to be scandalized. But it's when she sees who? Elizabeth.
Yeah.
That human connection becomes an affirmation. She encounters Elizabeth. They end up taking a little vacation. Her womb leads her. And she's like, oh, surely I am blessed. That's what it means to engage love, right? Yeah. Audre Lorde says, whenever we get what our souls must have, errors are admitted. Whenever we get what our souls must have, and I was using this example earlier, When people say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you know beauty when you look at a mother and her child. To a mother, there's nothing in the world, regardless of what you think, more beautiful than her baby. And to that baby, there's nothing in the world more beautiful than that mother. Why? Because that mother provides her sustenance or his sustenance. And to the mother, that baby is a proof of her divinity and the divine creation that was formed through her humanity. The same way with black love. Yeah. Right? And we are trapped in a situation where we were designed to hate each other. Right? But so loving a mannish man is meeting him where he is. It's looking into his future. It's seeing the best of who he is. But while you are loving the H-I-M, you are incarnating through your own self-love the H-E-M. What is that? You become the human representation of the hem of Jesus' garment. You become the incarnation of divine insight that can help and speak that thing into his life. Right? Howard Thurman says that within every individual should be the room for the singing of angels, where through the very commonness and dreariness of life, one might be shot through with glory, where an entity arises that presents a crown above you, where you spend your whole entire life trying to reach that crown. Yeah. And when I realized, I already knew that I was married and in love with this guy, but he was preaching when we were in Nashville on a Father's Day. And he said, I'll tell you, man, what love is. He said, love is when I was able to look into her eyes and see a reflection of myself that I fell in love with, that I wanted to see, not only every day, but I use that as a measure of the man that I am and I can become. But of course I was slain. Of course I was slain, went home and cooked and cleaned up and all that good stuff.
It was good.
But that's what it means. It means to be audacious, not only in your independence, right? For a woman to love a man is not to complete him. Come on. Because if that sentence isn't finished, you can't fill in the blank. Right? It's not to complete him, but nor is his job to complete you. Come on. Right? Because a half person only can get half love. And half of anything is never full, right? Don't hurt him, Stacey. So don't hurt him. The issue there is, but to love that person completely. So we know that in Proverbs and 1 Peter it says that love covers a multitude of faults. That's not to conceal faults, right? It's not just to conceal faults. You might conceal it from the harshness of the public, but when we say I got that covered, that means you can deal with those faults. Yeah. That means that you can call them out, you can analyze them, but then you're doing that in such a way to construct that better person. Yeah. So that's what it means to have womanish love for a mannish man.
What? She's lecturing here Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, okay? Commercial. So Dr. Juan, let me ask you this. What lessons have you learned from loving a womanish woman?
Man, thank you, Pastor. First and foremost, above all else, loving Stacey has taught me that love in and of itself and the act of loving is powerful. It's not weakness. It's not, that vulnerability and that willingness to be held accountable is what this life is about. That kindness is not to be mistaken with blindness. And I think, y'all have heard the woman speak for herself, right? But this idea that each day and every day, I wake up and I'm saying, okay, what do we have to do together in order to make this marriage work, to make our household and our family work, and to try to give back to our community so much of what has been given to us, right? But that means, as the Bible says, that, ye be evenly yoked. And that means not only just being equal and treating each other equally, but also fully, right? Bringing your 100%, your A game, right? That doesn't mean we're all going to do the same exact thing within our relationship or a situation, but everybody got to do something and bring something to the table, right? Because as my wife just said, half a person only brings their half best or their half love. Right. Also, even though I was the only child, I had this friend who was practically a brother from another mother. When Stacey and I got engaged, he came up to me and, in that quiet moment, he was like, yo, dog, I gotta admit, Stacey's all that and then some, man, but I couldn't marry a woman like that. And I said, what? Why? He was like, because, she too strong. She don't need you. And I was like, all right. It's like, okay, well, this ain't a hostage situation or whatever. The thing is that we are in this together, right? Yeah. And I want to be there for her. I want her to be there with me. And it's that growing together. And I want to see where God takes this thing, because it's been real nice so far. We've had some rough times and we had some great times, but we never had a bad day. I'm going to admit that right now on stage.
That's true. Rough times, good days, never had a bad day.
Right, but what James Baldwin says, and I hold this to be true, is that it's a miracle to realize that somebody loves you, right? But that love has to be, a strong, healthy, growing love, right? And I quote this from Lauryn Hill, right? In X Factor, she says this line, you said you died for me, but would you live for me? Live for me, right? So the idea is that, if somebody doesn't care about, your fullness and wellness and development, right, doesn't want to see you grow as much as they grow, right, then that's not a healthy and true love. So, I say all that to say, to the point that Stacey raised, right, part of living and learning and laboring and loving her and our daughter by extension has been, wrestling with trying to live up to the standard that God has put in place, right?
Yeah.
Because I come from a household, and I'll say this to wrap up. I come from a childhood household where my father, my biological father, he couldn't hold up his part of the bargain. He had to be out. He left, right? And that left my mother with that single mother, responsibility, authority, and concern, right? And that broke my heart, her heart, right? So I never wanted to repeat that in the life of my wife and my daughter, right? So, like to quote Jay-Z from 444, right? I had to be the dad I never had and the husband I never saw. So every day trying to live up to the expectations of both of these human beings that God has blessed me to be in company with, and to struggle and strive together and to love together and to live together and to learn together, right? Womanism made that possible. Even before we learned the word or read all the books or everything like that, my wife embodied that.
Yeah.
She loved not just me, not just her family, not just her friends, but even strangers and I'd say enemies and haters. She gave love when there was nothing that love was going to come back in return for, right? And that is the beauty of the womanist spirit that she embodies.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
You thank me later.
Keep them, Doc. So, Dr. Stace, wrap us with this. What does a womanish woman want mannish men to know?
We want our brothers to know that we see you, right? We really see you. We see you from the front. We see you from the back. We see you from the top. We see you from the bottom. We see you most of all when you can't even see yourself. It goes back again to like knowing like.
Yeah.
So when you think about, even despite the fact that our enslavement was assured by dividing us by ethnic groups when we were enslaved and on ships called Jesus and Mary, where hymns are written about amazing grace.
Right.
That we were separated by language, we were separated by kinship, we were brought to this country in chains and shackles, where we were used as brood sows and beasts. And by chance, if we saw a spark of love in each other, we were then disallowed to marry one another. So we were set up.
Right.
Right? The same way that Christianity was set up, right, to divinely legitimate our enslavement. But we got to crack that thing, because we know by our experience when we walk down the street. And the millennial generation, I want you to understand this. Amidst all the social media and hashtag and tweets, there's something to walk down the street as a black person and another black person who cannot exchange handles with you, who cannot give you a fist bump, who doesn't know you, when they nod at you, that's what was happening in Deep Ellum when people were acting like they were watching a fight. Ow, ooh, look at that. When the sister was getting beat down because nobody had nodded at them. When we nodded at each other, you're saying, I know nobody else sees you today. And if they see you, they don't see that you were fearfully and wonderfully made. They don't see that you were black and beautiful. They don't see that you were knitted in someone's womb and designed for a divine purpose. And when we do that one nod, we pour divinity back into their humanity. And only sisters, womanish sisters, can do that for a mannish man. Right? And I'm not just talking about eros. I'm not just talking about the erotic. I'm just what it means to be communal. That brothers, when you need your help and your homies aren't around because your flow is low. It's always a sister, right? That you need to clean up or be the wind beneath your wings. And wouldn't it not be better to see her for her insight and her intellect to inform your own incarnation? Because the option is, for those of us who are womanish, our bridges will not be your back, and our shoulders will not be your stage, right? But we are partners, and where two or three are gathered in our diversity of male and female, God shows up like a shero.
All right.
Well, all right.
I can't say much more than that, but let me just add this, that for the brothers out here, right, whether you're booed up or you've been long-term, married and committed, right, the idea that women are not your competition, they ought to be your companion, right? The idea that the game is as old as history itself, right? The idea of divide and conquer is the way that every people on the planet have been defeated and broken down, right? So if we know that the answer is to unite and defend ourselves, to meet each person where they are, that's the goal, right? It may not be easy, but it's simple. It's as simple as that, right? Okay, right? The idea that if every black man, right, whether romantically or not, right, just said, I see my sisters out there, I love them because they are part of me, right? How much further will we get as a people?
Say that, Juan. Say that. Would you all thank God with me for this phenomenal, brilliant, genius couple who has blessed us? I love y'all. Thank you. Thank you, God. Awesome.